Are you ready for everything in the world to change? It may sound insane, but that's the claim of AI companies like Anthropic who say, we've just reached a breakthrough in technology, and now we might actually be inside a technological singularity. Sounds Kurzweilian. Kurzweilian? Whatever. Folks, here's the deal. It looks like all of Hollywood, entertainment, and humanity is about to face a huge change. We'll tell you why. It's one of the biggest news items, and Elon Musk is the guy behind all of it. What a beautiful day, folks. What a beautiful tomorrow. And we here are bringing you the news ahead of schedule. The drive-by stopping by with their jumbo pencils to figure out what it is that the headlines of tomorrow should be. As we get ready to dive in, click that like button, subscribe, and let's talk about something different today. AI is getting ready to perhaps do a 100x improvement based on a breakthrough. You need to know about it. Everything may be about to change. Welcome to the technological singularity. At least that's what some are saying. And it may be a pivot point in the history of humanity. The ramifications on entertainment, technology, and everything else you can imagine. It's almost impossible to possibly encapsulate how big this is. Cyber Magazine says, Anthropic, what happens when AI learns to design itself? This is by Ritula Nisha. It says, if AI becomes capable of redesigning itself, misalignment could pose an existential threat to humanity, prompting Anthropic to call for a pause. And that's right. One of the leading companies out there, one of the frontier models, Anthropic, with their Claude system, they are calling for a pause, and I don't know that it's real. We'll go straight to Anthropic itself. They have an article out, a blog post they've made called When AI Builds Itself, and they've essentially said in this, and you can go read it yourselves, folks, that now we have recursive self-improvement in AI, which means that the computers can now improve themselves, and the prediction is that will result in like a 100x improvement over the next year. And so they're saying that this is so powerful, so impressive, so amazing that we need to be ready now for a huge change in everything. It says, for most of AI's history, humans drove every step in its development cycle, but at Anthropic, we are delegating a growing share of AI development to AI systems themselves, which is speeding up our work. Taken far enough and given enough compute, that trend points to an AI system capable of fully autonomously designing and developing its own successor. This is called recursive self-improvement. We are not there yet, and recursive self-improvement is not inevitable, but it could come sooner than most institutions are prepared for. The prediction is that it's coming by the end of 2027. And you can see here that they've given us a little graph that's very interactive. That's Q-Day. And here's what it's pointing out. How did things work at first in AI? Person, computer, code. Then what did we get? Person, computer with a chatbot helper, code. Then we got person, computer, chatbot plus an agent, code. We are currently maybe still at a person with a computer and a chatbot works with an agent who has 6 other agents all working together to make code. And the next step over the next year is the computers just do it. It says in the future, agents could become capable enough to build and train models themselves. If this happens, future versions of Claude could be continuously improved by Claude itself. Now, the big news here, ladies and gentlemen, is that Elon Musk made this happen and gave the lead to Anthropic over OpenAI. We'll explain how in just a minute. And the changes that are going to be felt all through entertainment and every other area of life are immense. We're going to stop over, though, quick with Peter Diamandis over at the Moonshots podcast and hear what they have to say about this momentous occasion. Here we go. Here is Peter Diamandis talking about it.
Trend holds. Anthropic is saying that by the end of 2027, Claude will be able to do week-long tasks on its own. And here's the stunning news. After you put all this data together, after the trajectory charts, a company that's about to IPO for $1 trillion with 640% user growth is causing a stir by calling for a temporary pause on global frontier AI. Marina Favreau and Jack Clark wrote, quote, "We believe it would be good for the world to have the option to slow or temporarily pause frontier AI development to enable societal structures and alignment research to keep up with the advancements of this technology." Gents, I read that. Alex, you sent me that tweet, and I was like, okay, we need to talk about this.
We'll come back to what Alex has to say in just a minute, but I want to go to Jonathan first as an expert in AI. Jonathan, people may not understand why this is a big deal. I mean, it's so huge in so many ways, but in terms of entertainment, let's talk about the ramifications, because when it comes to gaming, for example, we are now on the precipice, and it may be here, where computers can generate games and they can do it 100 times faster than humans. We may be at the point now where computers, aka AI, can create full-blown TV shows without humans there. I mean, the announcement, we thought this was coming in 2029, and it seems to be here. And the prediction from Anthropic is it's really, really here by the end of next year. And they're warning the nations to prepare for this. Jonathan, what are your thoughts? Is this a spooky, kooky sci-fi that's out there in bizarro land? Are we making much to do about nothing, or is this real, and is it happening and most people just don't know?
Well, it's incredible how fast it's gone, right? From a year ago to now is magnitudes of, I don't even know how to do it, because now most of my time, if I'm building a solution or because I have clients that I work with and I'm building new things, and most of my time is spent managing AIs rather than actually doing anything. And so even this article says, Anthropic says, right, the bottleneck is going to be just reviewing code. It's not even going to be like understanding how it works or anything like that. It's just going to be like, oh, does it do what it says it does? Okay, great. We're going to move on. I'm in this sort of state of like, man, this is super exciting, but holy crap, it's really scary, because once it starts iterating on itself and building things, and I don't know, another piece of information that sort of ties into this is something that Peter, is it Steiberger, the guy who does OpenClaw, the guy who started that, I can't remember his name exactly, but he pointed out, is like, now you don't do prompts anymore, you do loops, which is essentially say you give it some guidelines, you tell it where you want to go, you have it look at your repository and any bugs that are reported and things like that, and it just iterates. It's just constantly moving. It's just constantly building. You're not even really involved with it. And so we're really almost at that place already. The question is we still don't really understand how AI does everything that it does, right? We don't. It's not like we can look at the code and go like, oh, it's doing this because of this. It's making its own connections, and it's creating things without our input. And that's a scary place to go. And I've seen both ends of the sci-fi tale end well and end poorly, right? We've got Terminator, but then we've also got Star Trek, the good Star Trek, before before 2009 Star Trek. We're not talking about the rest of that. That's pretty bad. Here's the thing: is I don't think that AI, we're not in Terminator level territory, but in the territory where we don't understand what it's doing, that's really the more scary part for me, because we don't really see what it's doing. I mean, Claude, what did they say? Something like, I don't remember how much. I'm trying to find it in the article here, where they talk about how many 80% of the code merged into Anthropic's code base is authored by AI now. So even Anthropic isn't building their own code, right? They don't know what it's doing.
Well, if 80%, that's why I'm saying that we are in the technological singularity, and many people don't know what that means, but the fact that 80% of the AI is now being written by the AI.
Yeah.
I mean, we're there, and it's just going to keep improving. And part of what it says, Jonathan, is that by next year, they expect that the model will be capable of handling a week's worth of work for an entire team of humans, and it can crush that in hours at night.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the only limit is going to be cost, because it still costs a ton of money. Energy, yeah. I mean, money, like who's willing to spend it? Another article I read was, I think, was it Meta, somebody, or was it Uber, who they burned through their entire year's worth of their AI budget in 4 months. And so they gave a limit per month of everybody on their team to only use $1,500 worth of AI tokens. But
if you're Anthropic, I mean, these AI companies, OpenAI, SpaceX, these companies are now $1 trillion companies. They have almost unlimited, and the government, I think, is going to get involved in them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And since they have the unlimited usage for it, they can start controlling the narrative. They can start controlling the code that's building it. And the other scary thing is, who's going to learn how to code anymore? Who's going to know what's good and what's bad? There is no
and we have to have that. Yeah, we have to have that. It's the same paradox of, okay, let's say like Teslas can drive themselves, and they're really impressive now, right? Okay, you still need to know how to drive. I don't know why in 30 years you need to know how to drive, but I'm pretty sure, like, it feels right to me that everybody needs to know how to drive. And teenagers probably don't need to be having their Tesla or their Rivian drive them around, because they need to know how to do the thing. Now, I want to point out something that I think almost everybody is missing here. And Wiz, I'm going to go to you on this, because I know that you're also a huge fan of this. In fact, everybody in the panel I think is tuned into what's happening. Elon Musk did this, and nobody is recognizing this really. Elon Musk is the person who moved the schedule up. So we all thought that the projections were that we would be reaching recursive self-improvement in AI in 2029-ish, maybe 2028. We're now going to be at that point fully, totally within a year. And maybe we're already here. Maybe they're just soft walking this announcement. But Elon Musk did this. And the way he did it is ingenious. Because if we go back just a little while ago, June 4th, Elon Musk's new role, why SpaceX just became a neo cloud for Anthropic. Now, SpaceX, which runs the Colossus data center, just cut a deal with Anthropic to give them access to Colossus 1 and now Colossus 2. And the revenue that's being generated by that is doubling the SpaceX funds that are coming in. Now, he does not like Sam Altman over at OpenAI. But he's cut a deal with Colossus 1 and 2 with Anthropic's Claude, and the money here is crazy. And giving Anthropic access to Colossus 1 and 2 is what has opened up now the computation starvation that they were facing. They had a cap. They couldn't get through that. And look at the timeline here. May 6th, after Tom Brown says in the next few days, we'll be ramping up Claude interference on Colossus. Grateful to be operating or partnering with SpaceX here. Elon says, same here. By way of background for those who care, I spent a lot of time last week with senior members of the Anthropic team to understand what they do to ensure Claude is good for humanity and was impressed. Everyone I met with was highly competent and cared a great deal about doing the right thing. No one set off my evil detector. So long as they engage in critical self-examination, Claude will probably be good. After that, I was okay leasing Colossus 1 to Anthropic, as SpaceX AI had already moved to training in Colossus 2. They've now given them Colossus 2. I think they'll start building Colossus 3. I think you're going to have the data center of all data centers sitting in Memphis, Tennessee, with Elon Musk running the thing. And now he is the guy through SpaceX who delivers AI, both on the Terran infrastructure and in orbital infrastructure. He defeated Sora. He took down OpenAI. And I think he's going to use Grok to revolutionize entertainment, while the coding revolution and the technological singularity happens on his infrastructure. This is an amazing way to pull this off. What do you make of it, Wiz?
Wowie, wowie, wowie. Look, it's every day. I think to just kind of echo what Jonathan was saying, it's like where we've come in the last year. No, where we've come in the last 6 months has been wild in the AI space. But what's been pretty interesting is it seems like all of these AI companies have had to make choices of where do they focus on and what kind of features do they focus on. You know, there's image generation, there's video generation, there's code generation, there's I think gaming is going to be another one, and there's plenty of other offshoots like office work. You know, working in corporate, where does this best fit into corporate America with different tools? I think Elon has been pretty clear about this, and I think everything changed, at least from my perception of where Elon stands on all this, when he did the Rogan podcast and he talked about like why and where his position is when it comes to AI, and if we don't fight, then we're going to lose control over this thing. And it'll be, and whether it turns into a Terminator or not, maybe that's a little bit more, you know, maybe that leans on the sci-fi of it all, but it could happen. I think it's more so, and I think he also has a position on this. If the bad guys win, then the bad guys win forever. There's no beating.
Yep. And China cannot win. China cannot get to.
I don't know if it's even just China. I think there would be bad guys in the States too. I wouldn't exactly deem Sam Altman as a good guy myself.
Yep.
You know,
I'm with you.
I think
100%.
Elon's playing games, and I think he also realizes Anthropic they are not going to be stopped.
So put him on his infrastructure and get, because now they can't go anywhere. There's nowhere else like Colossus 1, 2, and 3. We know that'll come to be. Elon has essentially taken control, even though his frontier model is a little bit farther behind than he wanted it to be, I believe. So, it's a genius move.
Well, we also have to consider that, like, okay, so there's Elon is playing, I don't want to say 4D chess because it sounds ridiculous, but he's playing at least 3D chess here, because the AI game, he gets to stand by what he said of like, hey, we get to make sure the bad guys don't win with AI. Okay, well, that's great. You know, but that's also that he doesn't lose with AI. So, you know, tails I win, heads you lose. But also, everything that he's trying to do with space requires AI. And he said this as well. So why not just ally with the companies that he believes can be trusted, empower them to be better, but then also have some kind of elevated oversight to working with them, some kind of in to be able to be a voice of, I don't want to give him too much credit and say like, oh, he's a voice of reason, but to at least ally the people making the changes, the people building these things. That makes the most sense.
He essentially now is the leaseor. He owns the property upon which the AI sits. I mean, that's amazing what he has pulled off here. Jonathan, there are people out there, though, who don't understand what this is, and we're going to get to the rest of the panel, I promise, as well as the additional clip from Moonshots. But Jonathan, you live in the AI world. There are a lot of people who are against strongly AI. I tend to think that they only are thinking about AI in terms of job loss and that sort of thing. I actually think this goes the opposite way. I think that people who want to work will be able to be more productive, like in ways that are unimaginable today. Like I think a single person can make a video game very, very, very soon. Like a full-blown, looks like Activision Blizzard made it video game. And I think everybody who wants to be a producer is going to be able to produce at levels that are unimaginable. What have you seen in just the last 6 months leading up to today, Jonathan, behind the scenes?
The problem before 6 months ago has been memory. How much can you feed AI in order to solve the problems that you give it? And so in the last 6 months, especially since I use Claude most of the time, the ability to work through problems that are large, extensive, or build applications that are large and they require a lot of memory, like it's able to do so much more than it's ever done. And it's not slowing down, right? It's not, look at it this way. It's sort of like you were saying, like the idea that right, there's more opportunity now than ever before for people. There's also more opportunity for, I think, corruption and bad use of AI. I mean, the amount of problems I've seen, because I build websites and I build code and things like that, the amount of problems with attacks on sites is now astronomical because it's using AI and to create all this here. And so we're in this battle to build new applications, to build new solutions, to find things. And if you're not on the forefront of this thing, it's sort of like if you decided, back during the Industrial Revolution, you realize, I'm going to still keep picking all my crops by hand. I am not going to do anything like that. Eventually, you're toast. You're gone. Yep. And so it is an opportunity for people who are willing to embrace it. However, the guardrails do need to hold in some ways. Right? The opportunity for corruption is intense in this too.
And the time is running out for people to make the switch. People either are going to, there's a philosophical debate, right? And you can have the philosophical debate, but the problem is, like Elon said, you're not going to be playing the sport unless you get on the court right now. This is it. So I want to go back to the Moonshots guy to give people an idea of why we're talking about this tonight, though, in terms of entertainment. This is going to change everything, gaming, TV, streaming, everything. And when Anthropic warns, we're going to, because of this recursive self-improvement, we expect a 100x upgrade. Folks, if I told you that, no, your car's not going to be twice as good next year, that would be like, how would my car be twice as good? I can't even imagine. No, your car's not going to be 3 times as good. How could you do that? It's going to be 100 times better. Like the human mind can't handle that. Yeah. The human mind can't, we struggle to be able to figure out, well, what would 100 times better look like, right? Like if your house, if I said, we're going to double the quality of your house and the size of your house, you'd say, wow, that's incredible. Well, okay, by next year, we're going to 100x your home. I mean, okay. These are astronomical things as we reach this takeoff point. Okay, let's go back to Moonshots for a minute. I want people to hear what the experts are saying, and then we're going to get the panel in even more.
Alex, let's go to you first.
I define the singularity as sometimes, tongue-in-cheek, as all sci-fi tropes happening everywhere all at once. Well, there's a universe in which we get UBI or UBE at the same time as the federal government getting golden shares in the frontier labs, at the same time that we get recursive self-improvement, at the same time that we get an AI pause all happening at once, or at least an AI slowdown. It would require them all actually happening at once, I think, for the latter part of that announcement, the notion of Anthropic calling for a global coordinated slowdown in recursive self-improvement research. But it's not impossible. It's not necessarily desirable, but it's not impossible.
let's hold there. Lorne, Anthropic is saying that they're about to be so powerful, and that the other AI frontier models are about to be so powerful that, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, that all countries of the world need to come together and slow this down because it's going to be so disruptive. What are your thoughts on this as we get to this point where people can make their own TV shows, their own games, everything, just single prompt it, go to bed, wake up, and the thing is made? What are your thoughts on the idea that it even could slow down?
So I got a whole bunch of things to touch on there. The first is that the issue with asking everybody to slow down is essentially the prisoner's dilemma. You're going to make the calculation that it is in your best interest not to do that, while saying that you are going to. So nobody's going to do it. When you're talking about the issue of single prompting a solution, that's not the way it works. You may be able to loop for multiple solutions, but what you are asking for is going to be subjective to how you view reality, and you're going to have to reprompt to get the exact thing that you want. I think, for me, there are two issues with AI that I think we'll see addressed within the next few years. One is that there have been some mistakes and some big ones that have happened with AI, but we haven't had a Hindenburg moment yet. And that will happen eventually, and that will cause people to pause for a moment and consider, maybe we should be a little more careful with what we're playing with here. It's kind of like gunpowder, It's like when you first discover how to make it, it's all fun and games until you lose your eyebrows. And then you start thinking about how do we properly contain this and play with it carefully. The other thing is that that compared to everybody else on this panel, I tend to be more cautious when it comes to the framing of AI. And a lot of that is not because of AI itself, it's because of people. I'm worried about people. We're really, really good at creating things that appear conversational and that appear intelligent, and we tend to be trusting, especially when we cannot detect that there is something that is not conscious there. Given that, I think we're going to have a tendency to trust a thing that is very convincing at sounding like it's an expert. And if you're not an expert in a thing, and you trust another thing to be an expert that is very good at telling you it is when maybe it's not, that's where you can lead to that Hindenburg event, and that's dangerous. We're designing a machine that is very good at sounding credible, and I think there's some real danger there that we're not properly addressing.
Andy and Lauren, I take your points well taken. We'll talk about it in just a second more in detail. But Andy, if we see a 100x improvement in these models next year, or from now until the end of next year, then I think we go from people looking at AI like, well, it's a weird little toy that some people play with, or it's, a weird little chatbot. You're strange if you use it. It makes, the videos are okay, but they're a little grainy and they're not realistic, to like world changing over the next 18 months. So, Andy, do you think that the future is going to be sort of like a Star Trek kind of path that we're on, or do you think we devolve into chaos? And I just as a small example, how's Hollywood going to react as YouTubers and content creators and independent folks, single person studios make films that devastate them and destroy them, and it's over for Hollywood? Like, they're not going to go down happy about that.
I don't think there's any way that we can be prepared for what's going to happen because there's so much uncertainty. There's going to be entire careers, categories that are going to be wiped out. There's going to be a lot of created because of it. The most important, the biggest problem I see is that people they're already glued to their phone and their computers now. It's only going to get more so when you give them more of what they want, and they get addicted to it. You can't get into an arena where people will unilaterally agree to cease the development of AI because you can't trust other people. Certainly, like you look at China. I've know quite a bit about Chinese history, and they went from being the number one power in the world for 1,000 years, and then getting basically beat up by their neighbors. And they had an idea in their head that they want to be, the Chinese government wants to be ruling the world and making the steering wheel, driving the ship. And I don't see any of that changing. So if we slow down, like, yeah, go ahead, slow down. And you know that as soon as you slow down, your opponent is going to speed up. So this is inevitable. It's going to happen. Now it's how people choose to deal with it. I am seeing a lot with the younger generation, like my kids and kids younger than them, have a distaste for AI. They don't like it because it's inauthentic and it's not real. So hopefully there'll be something there that will kind of keep that in check. It's frightening what this is going to be able to do. I think I just saw something the other day where you go into the doctor's office, your doctor is probably using AI. It's got something on a screen. He's probably looking things up while you're in the office describing your symptoms. Lawyers are probably using AI for research. It's going to be in everything. It's going to be able to do things much faster and much better. Now, how does society deal with that? I mean, God, we can't even get people to be self-governing to where they don't damage themselves and things around them on a regular basis. I think you're going to get some people that will. It's just like exercise, right? Everybody knows you should exercise, but maybe 20% of the people actually do it. So I think you can count on a lot of people just abusing this, and you're going to get them into the realm of idiocracy. Hopefully we'll have some people out there that choose not to be those kinds of people, but I think it's going to be a point of great turmoil. Would it be great if we eventually can get to Star Trek? Yeah, it'd be great. I think we're probably a couple centuries away from that because I see us devolving more so than evolving.
You think there's going to be tremendous conflict before we go to whatever the next step is?
Oh, yeah, because like the way the world has always been, where you you find a career, you study for it, and then you get into the career. Well, what happens when you study for the career, you pay for the education, and now the career is no longer there?
Well, I think college is cooked.
Well, and it should be, because college hasn't kept up with the times. It hasn't done anything to help themselves. They teach you a bunch of nonsense. I mean, my kids are 26 and 24, and we had to teach them how to write in cursive themselves because they're like, well, I wanted you to be able to, when we go over to the Constitution Center, look here, you can actually read the Declaration of Independence. And I feel it's important because, like we see it in how long before you can actually watch Blazing Saddles because somebody edited it. I want to have a physical copy and I want to be able to watch something. I want to be able to read it.
Jonathan, as you are the resident expert on AI, you're using it every single day in ways that most people don't even know are possible, and yet it's happening behind the scenes. Jonathan, where do you think we're going over the next 5 years? How much is society going to be transformed? And to Lauren's points that he was making earlier, and Andy is talking about conflicts that could be on the horizon, where do you think this goes? How different is the world in 5 years versus today?
That is the question everybody's asking, because 5 years ago, if you would have asked us, even a year ago, I feel like if you would have asked that, we wouldn't have been right because of how fast things are moving. I think the one thing that we can be assured of is that everything will be different. Like you said, colleges, if you're in an intellectual or data-based position, like a lawyer, an accountant, none of those are worthwhile. I mean, we already had plenty of not worthwhile college jobs, like anything that ends in the word arts, generally speaking, isn't a good degree to get. But now it's even more. I have a friend who just started a landscaping business. He was a corporate accountant, and he realized, my job's going to be gone in 1 to 2 years. So he decided to get a real world thing and move on. I think what you're going to see is there will be, this is a weird analogy, but in the same way that we have craft beers, right? Everybody sort of like, you tend to gravitate toward those because there's a little more humanity involved with it. And so the silver lining I feel about this is that we will come to recognize more when something has the human touch, because there's something about AI where there's a distance to it. There's a spark missing, and it's really hard to quantify, to figure out exactly what that is. But when you read something from AI, like I read so much AI stuff, I can tell the phrases. I can see the telltale signs just in the way it speaks now, because there's a certain sort of mealy-mouthed equivocation between everything. For now, that's true, because AI is still just regurgitating everything that's out there, but it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's really hard to know. Like 5 years from now is forever. But like you said, we are like 100 times better at coding and at generation than we were 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, we all remember the Will Smith eating spaghetti thing. It's perfect now. You can't tell really that when it's fake or not.
Right. And the world has just accepted this. We passed the Turing test and nobody said anything.
Yeah. My fear is also, well, the other thing is like, there's that human touch, but then we will get an entire community of people that are living inside their AI culture, their AI community, and they don't have real humanity, and they will think that interacting with their chatbot, interacting with a website that has a chat, right? That's their interaction.
Romantic relationships. Yep.
That's happening, and it's scary. It's real.
Yep.
That's real. That's been around since like a couple AI models ago.
Right.
So some of the things that we're paying attention to, in addition to make your own movies, compete with Hollywood if you want to, you got to have the motivation. You got to be like, it's not for everybody, but if you want to be a content creator, you can do this kind of stuff. Make your own video games. Like in addition to this kind of stuff, Jonathan, we're looking at what? Maybe radical life extension. We're looking at, absolutely defeating math. Like there's no more stuff to figure out about math. Like AI is just going to, figure out all of the final problems and the frontiers of math and physics. And then God only knows what that opens up. We could be looking at a future where, everybody has a robot in the house, and then the robot does everything, and you don't go to the grocery store because you built a greenhouse, and the robot is taking care of all the plants and cooks your meal and blah, blah, blah. Like it gets crazy on the 10-year horizon.
Yeah. And even that though, that's not like, that's us projecting out still. Like a lot of that is going to take infrastructure change. But the way that we're moving in order to solve problems, anything that needs data analysis, diseases, physics problems, understanding quantum mechanics, all that sort of stuff, we don't have to worry about the limits of time spent from our interns researching things anymore. And so that's that 100x you were talking about, is assimilating data and coming to conclusions based on huge amounts of data that were completely impossible before. And that will lead not only to coding solutions, but like you said, medical solutions, engineering solutions. We may have a space elevator sooner than we ever thought, because we're able to build that now because we understand the tensile mechanics of it all.
Folks, you need to accelerate your expectations for the future, I think. And you need to be prepared for the tsunami, the supersonic tsunami that's on the way. If you're not hearing about this, and if you're listening to us right now and you think, these weirdos, get plugged in, because I don't want you to be on the other side of not knowing what's coming, because the advantages for you in being successful in this moment, you don't get another shot at this. This is like the internet starting times 1,000. If you just knew how to do the internet back when this started up, man, where could you be, right? So, Wiz, well, anybody on the panel, I mean, let's do a last round of thoughts on this, but Wiz, we'll go to you. There are a lot of people out there who are very anti-AI, and I understand that, but I think that the time is nigh to figure out how to take advantage of this.
There's always going to be people that are anti-AI, in the same way that if we had a zombie apocalypse, there would be people saying like, no, don't stop the zombie apocalypse. They're people too. It's like, yeah, well, we know how things end for those people. No, nearly everybody is going to get on the AI boat at some point. It's going to happen, because it's going to accelerate to a point where everybody has to at least be aware of what to do in order to operate in the world. In the same way that everybody had to learn how to text, everybody had to get everybody had to get a cell phone, everybody had to learn how to use the television remote, everybody had to learn how to use the television. Like, it's just going to happen. It is the next step in the technological evolution.
And being a doomer will not help.
Or just being a rebel. There's a lot of people, I think, out there, they want to be rebels, and that's it. Like, this is their I don't know if there's any other better way to put it, but this is their uranistophobe, right? So they may not have been able to stand with Hollywood, but now they could stand on like, oh my gosh, we need to fight this thing. Yeah. Please spare
Pedro.
me. This is
Pedro.
the future.
All right. With all hearts and minds cleared, we turn it over to you folks. Drop a chat down below. Drop a comment. Andy, Lauren, any final thoughts on it?
I just hope that whoever programs the AI, I know that a few months back, there was an issue with Claude having a controversial take on something that was sort of like, one group can't be a victim of something because, well, they're that group. And if you get somebody who's like with the woke activists programming the computer, then you could have a problem. Like, look if the computer gets involved with like something like law enforcement and reporting in on you, and look, with AI, I might be wrong on this, but I foresee a point where there's no such thing as any password that can be encrypted well enough that an AI can't crack. And what's going to happen when like the government is sitting there looking at an AI is running through all of your content to find something that's criminal? And would you be able to prove that it wasn't planted on your computer?
Yeah. So Anthropic actually addresses that in that post. They say it's a real problem that Anthropic is going to be able to very quickly beat any password. And so what people are talking about, Jonathan, you correct me, people are talking about quantum encryption in the future as a way to get around this and get back into a successful encrypting system.
So,
yeah, well, go ahead.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not going to be a very viable password anymore.
I told you to switch it.
Just
I
no
told
password
you.
1, 2, 3. Just password 1, 2, 3. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a combination of my luggage.
He
Right,
switched the A to an @ sign, and I said, "Wiz, it's not adequate this time, buddy. You got to stop that."
User admin, password admin.
I mean, as annoying as it is, right? 2-factor authentication, having a thing, good text messages, all that sort of stuff is going to be more and more important. And
Yep.
1Pass and LastPass and all that stuff is eventually going to go away. And I mean, maybe it'll even be biometrics, things like that are built into sites. But I think the biggest thing, and I think we talked about this maybe once before, but is the new iPhones, right? That's going to have AI really built into it. And so the normal everyday people who aren't using it will start seeing it a little bit more. And even if you're against it, you're going to be using it. That's the thing. You can't get away from it. It's like people who say they don't want oil, but yet they're still, drinking from plastic cups. Like, guys,
Right.
That's exactly where it comes from. And there's no way out of it. And so we've got to make smart decisions. I don't trust the government to do it. I don't trust huge agencies to do it, but I think there's still some good people, and we need to get them in the right places in order to do it. But you can't slow it down.
More than ever before, we have to get this right. We have to get this right. Lauren is looking at me with this skepticism that says, I want the final word.
No, I think it's probably best if I don't have the final word tonight.
We're doomed, he says. We're doomed.
Well, I'm not one of those guys who's going to say don't use it, because obviously I use it all the time. I just don't think that
Yes, you
people
do.
have generally well thought out all of the implications. That's my concern. My concern is less the technology and way more the people, and also corporations constantly wanting to move data into the cloud, constantly wanting to use AI to trim their workforces. Corporate always thinks that sounds like a great idea because think of all the savings, without thinking about the fact that you have simply shifted the savings somewhere else, and now you have a subscription model for your own data. And once that data is in the cloud, consider that now they have it, moving it is costly, and what's going to stop them from jacking your rates? So obviously you're not going to want to move everything to the cloud, but it's always best to think about all of the implications and to think through your worst case scenarios.
All right, it's official. I'm signing up Lauren for the nanobots in the brain. He's totally getting uploaded in the cloud, 100%. Well, it's been a good time. It's been a great time, folks. It's been a groovy time even. Keeping the Holly Weirds in line. We know them better than they know themselves. As we say goodbye, folks, please consider clicking that like button, drop a comment down below, and join the community dialogue today. And until the next time, we say it every time. Keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.